Hey, hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for the fourth and final session of our series on innovation in coffee communities. We really appreciate you taking the time. If you're joining us for the first time today, or for those of you that have joined for multiple sessions, it's great to have you. My name is Joanna Fergueli, and I'm the Director of Partnerships and Strategic Initiatives for Undefinitely Stiftung North America. And I've also been managing the Coffee Kids program for the last 3 years. So we'll continue these webinars bringing together different members from our team in Central America and also Tanzania, which is where we have the Copy Kids program. And today we'll tie our previous conversations together around innovation within farming families with a focus on farmer organizations. But before we dig in, just a few quick housekeeping notes. So Gabriela Tigum, our communications and marketing specialist from Central America, who we've already seen a message from, she'll be coordinating and collecting your questions today. So a big thank you to Gabby for her support. And the way that we'll handle questions is through the chat. So you can write questions directly to the presenters from there, and we'll address a few in the middle and then leave a longer time for Q&A at the end. So please write in your questions as they come up. So a quick overview of what we're going to cover today. So we'll give a brief background on Hans-Neumann Stiftung and the Copy Kids program. We'll introduce the topic of the day and address the current COVID-19 crisis. And then I'll be able to turn it over to my wonderful colleagues Pablo Ruiz in Central America and Webster Mianda in Tanzania. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Many of you are familiar with Coffee Kids as a nonprofit organization that started back in 1988. It became a program of Hans-Neumann Stiftung in 2015, building off of the great legacy and community development work that Coffee Kids always did. Just the focus is now on young adults between the ages of 16 to 35. And Hans-Neumann Stiftung, or HRNS, is a nonprofit organization that was established in 2005 by Michael R. Neumann and his family, and it's independent of the Neumann Coffee Group. As HRNS, we address the 12.4 million smallholder farming families worldwide that depend on coffee for their livelihoods. For more detail, you can use the QR code on the slide to check out our full theory of change. And to date, we've reached more than 300,000 smallholder families across 18 producing countries. So with that, we'll dive into the topic of today, which is creating strong and thriving farmer organizations. So we really believe that the women, men, and young adults in smallholder farming families hold significant potential to be the drivers of more equitable and resilient communities. And farmer organizations are key platforms that allow those families to work together and collectively take a leadership role in community and regional development. And so when farmer organizations are managed effectively and they're truly acting in favor of their members, they offer a number of critical professional services to that membership base. And so that's why within our theory of change, it does incorporate directly developing farmer organization, but still again in a way that addresses the farming family as a unit. So this webinar really built on our prior conversations, which included gender equality, promoting inclusion of young women and men, developing new practices and technologies to address the impacts of climate change. We really see farmer organizations as the vehicle for all family members to access these resources and knowledge. And so for today, we'll continue to focus on Guatemala, Honduras, and Tanzania. But as a global organization, we currently have offices across 8 countries with over 270 staff. So we also have offices in Brazil, Uganda, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Germany, and the United States. And as we're still in the midst of the impacts of COVID-19, we wanted to continue to share some updates with you. And so as we've covered in some of our previous webinars, our overall global response included switching to digital solutions for communication and really adapting a lot of our project activities. But then in addition to what we covered last week, we do have a few more specific updates from the 2 regions that are the key focus of this webinar series. And so in Central America, we began just in the last week really focusing in on a diversification strategy to address food the issues around food insecurity and allow for more food security in the region. So making sure that there are different types of demo plots and demonstration plots and and access for farmers to have seeds for food to intersperse with coffee, but that can directly are directly crops that they can eat. And so that's been started with over 25 farmer organizations and over 800 farmers, and that will continue on. And then in Tanzania, we've been really emphasizing finding different ways to make sure that information is getting out into the communities we work with. So a lot of different types of text messaging services, so bulk messaging, making sure that training messages are happening. So that way farmers are still getting training on good agricultural practices, and that for any of the farmer organizations we've developed, that they're getting that information, continue acting as an entity that can supply that information to all the farmers who are members. And that's also in Tanzania, where we are still able to do trainings, that is still possible under government regulations, but we're just really making sure to reduce the number of participants. Particularly a lot of the savings groups still want to meet to make sure that they're actively collecting money and having availability to those key resources during this time. But those are all set up with reduced numbers, hand washing stations, and specific capacities to make sure that all the necessary precautions are being taken. And all of these types of measures are really part of our long-term strategy to make sure that communities continue to stay resilient during this particular crisis and for anything that comes up in the near future. And so we definitely thank our donor community and our valuable partners that make all of this possible in our collective work together, and that some of you who are listening today and others that you see here on this slide. And we're just really appreciative of all our supporters, and so thank you so much. So for today, our presenters that we have are Pablo Ruiz, who is the co-country manager for HRNS in Central America, and then Dr. Webster Mienda, who's the deputy country manager and organizational development regional coordinator of HRNS in Tanzania. And then as I introduced, we also have Gabriela Tigum from our team in HRNS Central America. And so first, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Pablo Ruiz. So Pablo, thank you so much.
Thank you, Joanna. I'm happy to share with you and with the colleagues. Well, first, to introduce myself, I'm Pablo Ruiz. I have been working with HRNS since 2009. I grew up in a coffee farm, so I had been related for all my life with this crop. I appreciate it a lot, and basically, well, my dad teach me a lot from coffee production. I still need to change some conditions in the farm as we are facing new challenges. But I'm happy also to be engaged always in this crop. And basically, I joined in 2009 HRNS, and I have been working only here in my entire life. Basically, I had been I started as a technician, and then I was coordinating projects, and actually I am holding the position of country manager with Mauro to manage the office in Central America. If we can pass, please. So this is a really relevant topic, organizational development, especially because farmers and especially smallholders, they are facing many challenges, as we all know. And basically one of them is that in many cases they don't have a competitive market. And this is especially because you know that basically they are almost acting alone in the market because they don't have the volumes. And in some cases, and in most of the cases, they don't belong to farmer organizations. And the statistic worldwide is very clear. We just have 30% of the farmers who are affiliated to farmer organizations. And in many cases, the ones who are members of a farmer organizations, they are not receiving all the services that they require in order to be competitive. So this is a topic that we need to push as coffee sector to be developing more and to be developing better farmer organizations. And something that we need to analyze is if these farmer organizations are giving all the services that the smallholders required. And something, a perspective for the future is also if these farmer organizations that we are creating are also basically developing strategies to face climate change, to face the youth participation, and also to ensure that we do gender inclusion into farmer organizations, because we recognize that in many cases women, they are not participating so much into farmer organizations, and they are not participating also in positions where they are able to make a decision making, right? And basically we believe that all these we can see it reflected here in this other chart, where we are seeing how the countries have recovered after a shock like the coffee rust attack in Central America and Mexico. And we can see basically that, well, 3 countries, they had been very low responsive to the rust attack to recover their production as country. And the ones who, or the one who had made it basically is because they had a better infrastructure in organizational development, together with some other actions in the crop. If we go next, please. So basically, we see here the opportunity to continue addressing organizational development and what this can create. And basically, this is because, as we were saying, farmers are left alone in the market. And we can see here that most of the smallholders, they are, well, most of the coffee producers in Guatemala and Honduras, they are smallholders, more than 80% of them. So in order to be competitive in the coffee sector, they need to participate into farmer organizations. This will reduce the dependency that they had on middlemen. They will also increase their capacity to receive trainings, to receive technical assistance, to be competitive, and also to be better entrepreneurs. Also, we had seen with some examples of farmer organizations that we had attended, that this gives them the opportunity to access also to financial services, that it's other of the, basically one of the things that influence the cost of production of the farmers too. And also through farmer organizations, they had been able to access to infrastructure to process and to transform their products. We will see some examples later. And also now we are building these new farmer organizations, incorporating the participation of women and youth. And we had seen how this has changed the conditions of the farmer organizations and the life of these women and these youths. Can we go? And basically, we as HRNS, we had a whole history in Central America building farmer organizations. We can see in the orange the countries, the departments that we had attended in Guatemala. We can see in the green color the departments that we had attended in Honduras, and in blue we can see the departments that we had attended in El Salvador. So we can see here that we had a work with more than 500 farmer organizations. What is really interesting from this is that HRNS has been related in 60% of these farmer organizations, basically to start them since the roots. What this means is that we had created these groups and basically help them to go through the whole process of being a legalized group and being a functional group who is providing services to the smallholders. And we will see some examples later. Can we go next? And for doing that, basically, we have been also building better tools to be able to analyze the technical assistance that you need to give to all these farmer organizations. And for that, we had created some scorecards, and these scorecards, they basically had indicators by phases, and we are analyzing the farmer organizations twice a year to see in which stage of development they are. And basically through that, we are able to customize the technical assistance packages that we want to give to these farmer organizations. So here we need to recognize that not all of them are in the same position. And if we want them to prosper, we need to create these better conditions for them. And this is basically starting with a better technical assistance. And there is a big need that we as coffee sector, we really motivate our sector to establish more farmer organizations, because we see this statistic that only 30% of the farmers belong to farmer organizations. So we need to create more farmers in order to be able to reach more farmers, more farmer organizations in order to be able to reach more farmers, right? So we can see here the graph of a dashboard from a project that we established in the Trifinio region. And we can see here a clear example that basically from all these more than 40 farmer organizations that we attended in this project, not all of them, they were in the same position. Some of them, they were just recently established. And some of them, they were in a better position, but that doesn't mean that they don't need or they don't require technical assistance. Of course, that they do it, and they need to be improving the way that they are providing services to smallholders, and also recognizing that they need to be more innovative and finding better ways on how to address the challenges that the new challenges that coffee is facing. Can we go next? So this is basically one example of a farmer organizations that we established since the roots. This is a second-tier farmer organization, but it was not built as a second-tier organization since the beginning. We basically started in 2009. This was a really relevant alliance that we had with the Trifinio Commission. That basically it's a government institution who is working in Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, coordinating the actions that are happening in that territory, and trying to protect also the environmental resources, especially the forest and the water. And basically, we went there together with a partner, a private sector company called Tim Hortons. And basically, when we addressed what were the issues with the Trifinio Commission, they told us, we are really concerned that coffee could be a risk for the environment, because many of our smallholders, they are processing their coffee and basically they are not giving any treatment to the wastewater. And many of them, they don't want to treat the water because in some cases they say that they are not competitive in the market. So basically what we did in the first intervention was to build first-tier organizations, because they were located in different communities. So it was not possible for some of them to be traveling a lot to all the other communities to reach and to be trained. So we start by establishing first-tier organizations, and by the end of 2011, we established 11 farmer organizations, and we reached 250 participants. And basically, these 250 participants, they were having a better access to finance. They also improved the way that they were processing the coffee, and through that, they were able to sell in dry parchment. Compared to wet parchment, well, basically, that gives you more time to trade your coffee, and you are in a better position to negotiate. And also through that, as they were processing the coffee together, they were treating better the wastewater of the coffee, and they reduced the pollution. We continued the project, and by the end of 2013,
Pablo, it looks like we might be having just a quick internet glitch. Um, Give me one moment.
Sorry?
Pablo, can you hear me?
Yeah. I think that I had some issues here with my connection, but
Yeah,
sorry.
that's okay. Go ahead.
So basically, these 21 farmer organizations and these 600 farmers, they were the ones who established ONeill Caf as a second-tier farmer organization who can help them to apply economies of scale and basically to be able to
Oh, Pablo, I think that we might have lost you again. Um, okay, so what I'm actually gonna do is we're gonna move out Webster. Can you hear me?
Yes, Joanna.
You are there? Okay, great. Webster, why don't we have where I'm gonna skip forward to your slides and we'll have you continue and then we'll come back over to Pablo.
Okay.
Okay. And then see. Oops. Here. Okay, we'll take a quick break. Yeah, so then Pablo we'll come back to you after Webster goes. Okay, no worries. Webster. Okay, I'd like to introduce Webster Mienda from our team at HRNS in Tanzania. And Webster, thank you so much. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Joanna. Yeah, as Joanna said, my name is Webster Mienda. I work for HRNS in Tanzania as a deputy country manager, responsible for the operations in the entire country. I'm actually based in Kilimanjaro. Most of you know the famous Kilimanjaro region in the northern part of Tanzania. Yeah, I started my life in coffee when I was in college during my internship. But then, yeah, that went off until 2006 when I finally joined HRNS. And since then, yeah, I talk coffee. I live coffee. I smell coffee. All I do is about coffee. Yeah. In Tanzania, we've been here since 2006, and we are in 4 regions, being Kilimanjaro region and Arusha region in the northern part, and the southern highlands. We have Mbeya region and Songwe region. In total, in Tanzania, we have reached about 25,000 households and 718 first-tier organizations, plus 93 second-tier organizations. In addition to these 2 structures, we also have a total of 24 youth groups. Yeah, I'll talk much about the youth groups in the later slides. Our growth has been smoothly in Tanzania since 2006. We started with a pilot project targeting 1,000 individual farmers, but then we ended up having 1,350 households. And so from the results of the pilot project, our donor community were very impressive, and we went into fully fledged projects targeting 12,000 farmers up to 2010. Since 2010 until to date, we've been having a number of multiple projects, and we actually changed from targeting individual farmers to households. We believe that the entire house should benefit from the intervention of the project. So 2016, we had the first youth group up in the north with Coffee Kids, and then we moved on to 2018, where we had a number of changes into government regulations. One of them was the decree by the Prime Minister to restructure all cooperatives in coffee. And so we had to abide by the rules, and quickly turned into restructuring all our farm organizations into cooperatives. And then from that time up to date, we are slowly working with the 25,000 households that will be transitioning from 2021 to 2023. We want to intensify our interventions with 15,000 households in order to better equip them with the unforeseen future in terms of marketing, capacitating them in farm organizations, managing their internal management records, and et cetera, et cetera. Next, please. Why do we do organization development? We have heard also from our colleagues in Central America the advantages of organization development. So also in Tanzania, farm organizations here, they get to have an opportunity to strategically plan their operations. They also improve the flow of information. Once they are well organized, it's easier for them to transmit whatever knowledge they have from external providers. It also helps them to build their commercial orientation and further allow them to access credit within the financial institutions and other lending organizations. This also capacitates farmer organizations into managing large input supplies, because once they're organized, they start looking into bulking issues. So bulk input, bulk produces, at the end of the day, they'll need a good management, plus building their capacity to solicit further services for their individual members, while promoting youth engagement in the coffee community. So these are just some of the reasons why we are doing organization development. However, this has some challenges. So far, we have identified a few gaps, including the developing farmer organizations, which is a bit tedious because farmers sometimes, they go for tangible, in most cases actually, they go for tangible results and often forego the planned step-by-step approach, which builds them to be stronger. Also, the saving culture is not quite common among smallholder farmers, of course, because of the financial background that they have. We have also seen some specific challenges with young farmers. These include our youths that we're working with. They have minimum and farming and business experience. The capacity in record keeping is actually, in some cases, is not there. Hence, this season specifically, due to the COVID-19, they missed the target on loan repayment, which they're supposed to finalize in March. But of course, we have seen some positive advancements in their loan repayments. Next. There are some key components that we should bear in mind within farm organization development. The process of organization development with farmers should adhere to some of these beacons. Otherwise, it won't happen. So the first one is a group participation and sense of ownership should really be built. Financial literacy and reporting is quite important in terms of capacity building. Also, literacy and numerical skills of the general membership is quite important. Also, literacy and numerical skills of the general membership, business development capacity, capacity, provision of essential services that they provide to their ordinary members. Yeah, next. We have also noticed that farmer group organization has several phases. So the first phase is the awareness meeting, which is also similar to contact farmer. This is when we try to formulate the farmer to farmer extension training, which helps them to formulate their visions together as a group. And also this constitutes the formulation of their visions individually in their groups. After the vision has been formed, they are able now to establish their constitution, which helps them now to support the selection of executive committees, which would then be elected using the constitutional agreements that they have put together as a group. And finally, they continue with a self-assessment. Yeah. The next phase is the business development phase for all farm organizations. This includes business plan preparation, projected income statements, farm budgeting, profit and loss statements, and also it's an encouragement for individual farmers to acquire shares and annual contributions as a way of building their own assets, financial assets. Yeah. Next. Yeah, within the years that we've been collaborating with the farm organizations in the north and also in the south, we have noticed an increase in the number of farm organizations that are growing strong. 382 of them have internal savings, and 114, they have business plans, while 8 of them have actually financial loans. Well, the second tier out of 93 that I've talked about, 42 of them have financial loans. Not forgetting the youth groups, we have 129 individual youth business established. We have 4 youth group business established. And we have seen in the near past that 3 youth groups have acquired a loan amounting to almost $3,000 US. And also, yeah, finally, $12,000 has also been disbursed in 2 youth groups to start their own business. Next. Yeah, finally, I want to introduce to you the story about Mbokomu Youth Group. This is a story that is not new to some of our participants. Yeah, Mbokomu Youth Group have been doing a lot of savings over the years. It's not quite an old group, but very energetic and supportive The group has an average of 21 to 32 years members. They have actually saved about 3,000 and yeah, received some loans from the municipality, from the councils that we are collaborating with. Yeah. They have a number of business, including biochar and charcoal. As you can see in the slide, this is one of their coffee business. And also, apart from the coffee business that they're doing as a group, they also have individual businesses that you can see ranging from dairy, piggery, fruits, and also tailoring. Next. Next. Yeah, the way forward from all the regions that we have worked with, we are trying to spread the good results that have been realized in the north and south also. So we are trying to introduce youth to digital technologies. We want to redefine and further develop the approach that we are using. We want to increase the number of strategic assessments of experiences with youth partners. Also involvement of further partners into capacitating youths. We are also trying to replicate our approaches so that other organizations will be able to address similar challenges that we have faced in our regions. We're also trying to institutionalize our approaches, including the long-term knowledge centers, developing a youth code of conduct within government and other responsible organizations, public and private. We are also trying to document best practices for farmer support and also advancing further framework conditions and policies. Yeah. Yeah. Next. Joanna?
Yeah, that's great, Webster. Thank you very much. I think, yeah, we'll, what I would love to do right now is just, we have a couple questions coming in, so I'd love to ask you one question, Webster, and then we'll try and bring Pablo back in and see if we can finish up some of the other slides on Central America that are really great. So Webster, maybe just a first question for you are, so yeah, you told us about some of the benefits of organizational development, and then you also shared about, particularly in the success story, one particular youth group that has had a lot of success in working together. And so I was wondering if maybe you can expand a little bit on what's the contribution of organizational development in these youth groups. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Joanna. We have noticed the contribution of farm organizations in youth groups in all the regions that we are working with. We have seen, for example, the very best example is with Mbokomu youth group. They have, farm organization has actually really helped farmers, young farmers, the youth, to put their resources together and also start, their own businesses, giving them a sense of belonging, a sense of ownership, a sense of recognition. As you all know, that youth are very dynamic and they're always kind of individualistic, but with the application of organization development, it has seen them coming together, unifying their objective and their objectives actually within the group. Yeah.
No, that's great. That's really exciting, and I really like using that success story of the youth group, because we've seen in the gender webinar we profiled one of the individuals that started a business, and then last week for climate we talked about their group business, and then now you've shared kind of all of that they've done in order to actually access financing as a group as well. And so there's a lot of individual and group success there, which is phenomenal. So Webster, I know there are more questions for you. But if I can just have you hold for a moment, I'm going to try and bring Pablo back in, and we'll go over to his slides, and then we'll come back to you for some more questions, okay? All right, I am Pablo. I see you there. Fantastic. So I'm just going to skip back through really quickly. And yeah, Pablo, I'll have yeah, maybe we'll just wrap up some of what you were discussing about ONeill Cafe, and then we'll go into the youth group. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, very sorry. I apologize for the inconvenience with the internet. But okay, I was telling you the history about ONeill Cafe, and basically we can see that these first-tier organizations, they establish ONeill Cafe in order to receive more services and to apply economies of scale. By 2016, more farmer organizations were members of ONeill Cafe. They built their own processing facility, and through that, they were able to dry more coffee and to process in a better way and standardize their quality. And also, they start the process to be sensitized on new challenges like youth, like climate change, also like gender. And basically, by the end of the 2019, we can see a ONeill Cafe that it is working in a better way with a better social infrastructure too, because they are engaging women, they are engaging youth. They had also create training centers for youth in order to create more capacities on them. And also together with the Inter-American Development Bank and with the private sector, they established the Entrepreneurship Fund that gives better conditions for the youth in order to access to finance, to be able to start their new entrepreneur ideas. And also they are improving also their infrastructure. As we can see here, this is a process. This is not a project that it is a 2-3 years. And I think that basically this coffee partnership that we had with Tim Hortons has helped us to create these great examples of a farmer organization that it's coming since 20, 30 farmers working together until a farmer organization that has 28 farmer organizations and more than 1,000 farmers. Can we go next? And who is participating a lot to the youths. And we can see it here in the infrastructure, in the structure of ONeill Cafe, that they had created a youth committee. And through that youth committee, they had well, their strategy is to increase the participations of youth into farmer organizations to motivate them to see opportunities in coffee and beyond coffee. So we can see that we had, and we started in 2017 with 22 participants in the youth committee, but until now we had reached more than 100 farmers, and that it's helping the youths to identify opportunities in the coffee value chain, but also outside. They came with business plans to the youth committee, and basically they are proposing these business ideas to the farmer organization, and it's going to a committee who assess what they are proposing. They assess if it makes sense. Basically, they are creating new services for their communities, and they are generating new incomes for these youth too. So we had more than 39 youth who have become entrepreneurs, who are running their own businesses. And also the youth committee has been very active by trying to differentiate their product. So they have been able to sell coffee directly to some roasters. And also ONeill Cafe has been able to sell coffee directly with Tim Hortons through this coffee partnership. And they had created this partnership blend Also, the youth committee has been really involved in improving the quality of the farmer organization. They run the quality center lab that the farmer organization have, and now we are starting to test basically a new concept of climate pioneers, where we want the youth to be change agents in the way that they can address climate change and try to basically build new strategies and new practices to address climate change. If we go next. And basically, well, this is a nice story of a farmer organization, but basically, I think that what is more relevant is if a good farmer organization, it is not worthful if they are not creating better farmers, right? And ONeill Caf is an example of a farmer organization that is doing well in infrastructure, that is doing well with the youth committees, and this has been translated into better farmers. We can have here the history of Kevin Leveron. When we meet him, he was very shy. He don't speak in public. And basically, he didn't see so much opportunities in coffee production for him. He went through this life skills training that we give with ONeill Caf and with the Generations Project and with Coffee Kits. And basically, through that, he really became and transformed himself in a leader. So basically, his leadership has been transformed, that now he's part of the board of directors of ONeill Caf, and through that he's also influencing the board of directors to make more relevant the position of youth into the coffee farmer organization. So now really the youths, they have a voice also in the board of directors. We can see here examples of Kevin participating doing research in coffee varieties, but also doing the cupping in the quality center lab. He has been also involved with his family. His sister is also participating now in the farmer organization. So we can see how this is transforming, this is helping to transform the families. This is helping to create more leadership in the coffee communities. Can we go next, please? And definitely, we believe that this is the way that we should continue. And I will motivate you to analyze where are you sourcing your coffee, and to be sure that you are sourcing coffee from examples like this, examples of farmer organizations who belong really to smallholders, and we need to basically spread the word that there is a big need to create more examples like this everywhere in the world, right? We need also to improve the data available about farmer organizations, because basically there is a lack of data worldwide of how many farmer organizations are, how many farmers are participating there, what is the status of development of this farmer organization. So we see a lot of potential there. We need to also build these farmer organizations in a way that we don't make them only coffee farmer organizations. We need to make them also, or we need to take advantage of this group of farmers who are working together to create diversification strategies. So we see a lot of potential there. So they can be maybe coffee farmer organizations and trading also avocados or bananas or limes, whatever that is produced in that community. So we believe that there is a lot of potential there, and also there is a lot of potential to address these type of emergencies like the one that we are facing with the COVID-19, because basically through farmer organizations, we are able to spread better what are the next steps that you need to do in order to address some sanitization actions and also some food security actions that we are doing. And for the future, as I was saying before, we need to really be sure that we are creating farmer organizations who are participating youths and women into their board of directors and into their memberships.
That's great. Thank you so much, Pablo. And that's fantastic. And what I have some questions for you. I know we also have some questions for Webster. So maybe Pablo, I will first have, maybe a question that came in for you. So you shared the example about ONeill Cafe, which is really great. And so I was just wondering if there are any lessons learned from that experience that you're now implementing with, new farmer organizations that we're just starting to work with in the region. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Joanna. So ONeill Café was this training. Well, it was basically our opportunity to learn better how we can engage youth and women into farmer organizations, and probably we came a little bit late in that process with ONeill Café. Now this is something that we are starting since the beginning. Through the coffee partnership, we are starting to reach new farmer groups. We are establishing them, and since the beginning, we are establishing the youth committee, the gender committee, in order to make them really competitive and in order to bring the voice of youth and women into the farmer organization. And we had seen that this is helping the farmer organizations to be more innovative and to be more competitive in the market. So basically, it is helping us to create better farmer organizations since the beginning.
No, that's great. It's a really exciting shift in bringing in those groups right from the beginning. I think that's fantastic. And I just, let's see. Okay, we had a question from the audience for Webster. So Webster, this is related to the loans that you mentioned that the youth groups are able to access. Could you talk a little bit more about the conditions for youth to be able to access the loans, and how they're accessed, particularly in Tanzania, because there are the governmental opportunities for them to access loans, which is a little bit different than in Central America. And Webster, I'll have you turn your video back on. Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joanna, for the question. Yes, we all know that it's very difficult for youths to have collateral. They don't have land, they don't have fields. And as I said, we just started around 2016, working with youth groups. And most of these youths are children of our coffee farmers, those that are into the conventional groups. Usually, they have their own internal savings. And through these internal savings, they end up becoming bankable. You all know that when you tie twigs together, they become stronger than one big trunk of one big log. Yeah. So this is what the youth groups are doing. They have their internal savings that they contribute on a weekly basis, but also there are some available funds from the government. These are district youth funds. So because we have, and again, thanks a lot to Tim Hortons, because we are building the capacity now of these youths to become bankable. And they've also established this kind of relationship with financial institutions. So being on the ground for long and having established these relationships with financial institutions, at some point we had acted as guarantors to these youth groups as an organization, but only for one season, because we only allowed youth groups that we knew they could repay back. And we have seen that they have been repaying back, and now they are going direct even without passing through the organization, because they have built this relationship, this understanding with financial institutions. We started with only one bank, but now we have seen a number of them coming, wanting to work with these organized youth groups. Thank you.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you, Webster. That's really great that, yeah, you've been able to build those relationships and the youth actually have access to this type of financing. It's really exciting. And so I think we have time maybe for one more question that I'll put towards both of you, and I'll have Pablo answer first, which is just, can you talk a little bit about what you've seen in terms of the change in the region or in some of the communities when you think before some of these organizations were organized to some of the the progress that you see now based on farmers having this organizational capacity? So Pablo, how do you go first? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think that, as I was saying, finally the farmer organizations, they had a lot of social impact because basically they are putting all the community to work together, and this is helping to create more and better services in the communities. Even the last time that we went with one of our donors to exchange trip and to see what was happening in the project, the farmer organizations, they were telling us we had increased the recognition that we as community, we produce coffee, and the interest of the coffee sector for recognizing our community as coffee producers. And also, we had also increased the pay of taxes that we had done in this community, because now we are processing and selling our coffee through the farmer organization. This is registered in the state, and it's creating better incomes also for the state. And basically that is transforming better services for the whole community, right?
No, that's fantastic. That's really exciting. That's great. Thank you, Pablo and Webster. I'll put the same question to you and just have about a minute or two left. So thank you, Webster. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead and unmute yourself again, Webster. That was my fault.
Sorry, Joanna, I missed the question.
Yeah. What are some of the successes that you've seen when you think about before some of the organizations were developed to now when you see more farmer organizations that are strongly developed?
Oh yeah, thanks. There are a lot of differences. I mean, even a layman would actually notice some of these differences, because before 2018, we had very strong depot committees which were registered as associations. And after the Prime Minister's decree to change, the structure of all associations into cooperatives, they needed to disintegrate and go into their respective villages. But we have seen farm organizations that have stood their feet and said, no, we cannot disintegrate. We came a long way, we have invested a lot, and we want to remain like this. So, we have seen a lot of empowerment in farm organizations. And this is more the reason that if other private sectors and other service providers want to work with these organized farm organizations.
Well, that's great. That's really great that the farmers, have been organized. Those organizations are strong and they feel empowered to advocate what's best for the members. That's fantastic. So with that, I think we're at time now. So Pablo and Webster, thank you so much for these presentations and for everything you put together and shared with us today. If there are any questions that we didn't get to, we'll be sure to post them online. Gabby, thank you so much for your support on the back end. And just a huge thank you to our audience again for those of you joining for the first time today, and then also for those of you that have joined for multiple sessions. We're really excited that all of this has been of interest to you, and we look forward to continuing the conversation with you online and via email. So please just feel comfortable to reach out with us to us anytime. Please stay well and stay healthy, and have a great rest of the day or a good evening.